Hey everyone, it's Joe here from the Automator, and today we're demonstrating the update to Claude. Claude 3.7 came out yesterday, and I was reading up on the API and how in the API call you can actually change how much thinking you want it to do, which is really cool because sometimes you don't want it to do a lot, and sometimes you want to do a lot. It also has a built-in way to actually kind of figure it out, but I think it's great to be able to have that flexibility that you can tell it, no, 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 I really want you to think about this.
Yeah.
So
And
we
it seems
updated our
really
class. Yeah, just so we updated our class to have that. Anyway, sorry, Isaiah, go ahead and explain.
right. I was just gonna say the one thing that you have to keep in mind is that it's not like a value like a 1 to 10. It's something that you tell it how much to think based on how many tokens you give it. So in other things, like for example, the temperature is a number between 1 and 0, right? So 0 and 1. So you can put 1.5, 1.2, but with thinking, that's not the case. I will show you how it looks like. So yeah, in here, the only thing that we did was we updated the fact that you can actually pass the Claude uh, tags like this, the Claude 3.7 Sonnet tags. We usually default to the latest, but you can put any tag in there with the date, the date stamp that you want to use. That is just when you're calling the create function for the messages part of the class, right? I will show you how that looks in a second. But what we did is that we added a parameter here called thinking. That's what they called it. And that parameter is actually an object. And it contains two keys. I will show you now. Here in code, here's where I'm doing the Claude AI messages and I'm creating a message, right? This is where I pass it the new tag for the 3.7 Sonnet latest. Now, I passed it a message. It is an object that has the role and the stuff. Here, and this is something that we have to keep we have to keep in mind. This is the maximum number of tokens. So let me just build this so that it suggests where we are. And here it says max tokens. So you have to set up the max tokens to be bigger than the thinking tokens. And what I'm doing right now is that whatever number I put on the thinking tokens, I just duplicate it for the max tokens. You have to keep that in mind. Now it's just going to reply with an error. 2048 is what I got. I ignored all the other parameters. I don't care about them. And now for the thinking, I created an object that has two parts, the type, which I don't really understand what that means right now because it just says enabled. I don't know what type is in this case, but that's how their example shows up. And here's the budget tokens. Now this one, the minimum number is 1,024 tokens. So what I'm doing is I'm just duplicating that and setting it as the max tokens over there. I will have some way of doing that automatically for me later, but for now, I do have to keep in mind that those two numbers are related to each other and that always the max number should be more than the tokens, always. And that the minimum amount of tokens for the thinking is 1,024 tokens. So once you do that, you just call the function just like that, and you will get a response. So I'm just gonna run this real quick. I'm just gonna wait for it. And it is thinking, and that's why it takes so long because I'm waiting for the response. And once it comes back, now the program stopped. And now here in my response, I should be able to have a response text. And this text is basically the answer from AI for that particular question, for which it thought for a few seconds, more than if I don't do it like that, which I could just show you real quick. If you have questions, I can show you.
Let's change the online 37, change enabled to disabled, and leave your tokens and everything else the same. Because my
That's a
thought
good question.
is it should be. Oh,
No, it actually throws an error. They would return something like that's not a valid call.
well,
And
I know
yeah,
the other one, like I said, that I thought you could, enable and disable the thinking, whether you wanted to actually put extra thought into it or not. So that's why
I would think about it as just removing this object then.
Yeah, I know, but I thought
Yeah.
maybe that's what the enabled,
Yeah, exactly. But that's not what it is. So what I would do is just compare the time it takes from one to another, and that's the only way that I could really tell whether that thing was actually valid or like whether it thought or not. But I know because when I look at the other calls that I have in here for the authentication and stuff, if I do the same call but with 3.5 and then without this, because I don't need the thinking cap enabled. So at this point, I would assume that the first one is faster than the second one. That's the only way that I could tell. So the first one, I don't know how long it's taking. That's it. And then now I will do the other one. And it would take a little bit longer for it to finish, supposedly. I can definitely check with timing it, but yeah, you see that it took a little bit longer just to get this other response from the other Claude model. So awesome.
We use Claude in a lot of our tools, especially for developing programming. It's amazing, and I think this 3.7 model is going to be really very powerful, especially for programming. But for a lot, we also found for the OCR, Claude was phenomenal compared to other tools. But I'll put the link up here if you want to download it. It's of course we're going to sell it to you, but for the class, we put a lot of work into that class, and we do keep that one pretty up to date, like we just did. This was released yesterday. We've already updated and incorporated that new stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Cheers.
Bye.